Have you ever walked away from a conversation and thought, wait, why did I agree to that? You wanted to say no. Instead, you smiled and said yes. Not because you changed your mind, but because someone changed your emotions. That's the scary thing about manipulation. It rarely looks like manipulation. It doesn't shout, it doesn't threaten, it doesn't force you. It sounds like, if you really cared about me, don't overthink it. I'm only trying to help. Everyone else agrees. And before you know it, you're making decisions that don't even feel like your own. Imagine a puppet standing on a stage. From the audience, it looks completely free. It walks, it laughs, it dances. But then the camera slowly pulls back, and suddenly, you notice the strings. One string is guilt, another is fear, another is approval, another is the need to keep everyone happy. The puppet thinks it's choosing, but every move is being decided by someone else. Most people live exactly like that. Not because they're weak, because nobody ever taught them what manipulation actually looks like. Here's the biggest myth. People think manipulation only works on gullible people. That's not true. It often works best on kind people. People who hate conflict. People who always give second chances. People who feel responsible for everyone else's happiness. Manipulators don't look for low intelligence. They look for soft boundaries. Because manipulation doesn't attack your intelligence. It attacks your emotions. Think about the worst decision you've ever made. Were you calm? Or were you angry, lonely, afraid, or under pressure? Exactly. When emotions get louder, logic gets quieter. That's why manipulators create urgency. Answer me now. This is your only chance. Don't think about it too much. Funny, isn't it? The one thing they never want you to do is think. Because thinking breaks manipulation. A rushed mind reacts. A calm mind questions. And questions are dangerous to people hiding the truth. Now here's something fascinating. Have you ever met someone who can spot fake people almost instantly? Someone who notices manipulation before everyone else? Most people call them cold. I don't. I think life taught them a language most people never learned. Imagine touching a hot stove as a child. You don't need to touch it twice. Your brain remembers. Manipulation works the same way. Every fake apology, every guilt trip, every broken promise, every relationship where love came with conditions. Your brain quietly collected those patterns. That's why sometimes you'll meet someone who seems perfectly nice. Yet something inside you whispers, be careful. Nothing looks wrong, but your stomach tightens. Your chest feels heavy. Your body notices something your mind hasn't understood yet. People call that intuition. But maybe it isn't magic. Maybe it's memory. Your brain processes thousands of tiny signals every second. Tone of voice, facial expressions, awkward pauses, tiny contradictions. Long before your conscious mind catches them, your nervous system already has. That's why impossible to manipulate people don't ignore uncomfortable feelings. They investigate them. Instead of saying, I'm probably overthinking, they ask, what exactly made me feel this way? That single question has saved people from toxic relationships, bad business deals, scams, and years of emotional manipulation. Because becoming impossible to manipulate doesn't begin by distrusting everyone, it begins by trusting yourself again. But here's where everything begins to change. The strongest people aren't impossible to manipulate because they're smarter. They're impossible to manipulate because they don't react immediately. Think about every time someone has ever controlled you. What did they really want? Not your opinion, your reaction. They wanted you angry, guilty, afraid, embarrassed. Because emotional people are predictable, calm people are not. That's why one of the most powerful things you can do costs absolutely nothing. Pause. Imagine someone says, I need an answer right now. Most people panic, they explain, defend, apologize. But someone who can't be manipulated simply smiles and says, "Let me think about it." Those 5 words are powerful because the moment you slow down, you force the other person to lose control of the conversation. Silence makes manipulators uncomfortable. They'll often keep talking, explaining, justifying. Sometimes they'll even expose the very thing they were trying to hide. Never forget this. Anyone who refuses to give you time to think usually benefits from you not thinking. Now, here's a trick that sounds strange, but psychologists have studied for years. The next time someone makes you question yourself, stop asking, "Why am I feeling this?" Instead, use your own name. Imagine your name is Alex. Ask yourself again, "Alex, is this actually true?" Or, "Would Alex tell his best friend to accept this?" It feels unusual at first, but something changes. Instead of drowning in emotion, you step outside it. You stop reacting like the person inside the situation and start thinking like someone watching it from the outside. Suddenly, you notice things you completely missed. You realize you've been apologizing for having boundaries. You realize you've been carrying problems that were never yours. You realize you've been trying so hard to keep everyone happy that you've forgotten yourself. And here's the truth. Manipulators don't create your self-doubt. They simply find the self-doubt that's already there and use it against you. That's why confidence isn't loud. It's quiet. It's trusting your own judgment even when someone wants you to question it. There's something else you should know. Have you ever noticed how everything feels worse when you're exhausted? A small argument becomes a disaster. A simple decision feels impossible. A bad idea suddenly sounds reasonable. That's because a tired brain isn't just slower, it's easier to influence. When you're mentally exhausted and your brain stops searching for truth, it starts searching for relief. That's why protecting your sleep isn't laziness. Protecting your peace isn't selfish. And protecting your energy isn't weakness. They're all forms of self-defense, because a clear mind notices manipulation, an exhausted mind negotiates with it. Finally, develop one habit that every impossible to manipulate person shares: curiosity. When someone says, "Everyone agrees," ask, "Who exactly?" When someone says, "Trust me," ask, "Why should I?" When someone tries to make you feel guilty, ask yourself, "Is this really my responsibility?" Simple questions, powerful answers. Because manipulation survives when nobody asks questions. Questions expose what emotions try to hide. Let's go back to the puppet one last time. At the beginning of this video, it looked free, but invisible strings controlled every step: guilt, fear, approval, urgency. Those strings don't disappear all at once. You cut them, one choice at a time. Every time you pause instead of reacting, one string breaks. Every time you trust your instincts instead of ignoring them, another one falls. Every time you choose self-respect over people-pleasing, another string disappears. Until one day, you notice something incredible. The people who once controlled you no longer know which buttons to press. Some will say you've changed, some will call you cold, others will say you're difficult. Let them. Because the version of you they miss was the version they could control. Remember this: being impossible to manipulate doesn't mean becoming emotionless. It means becoming emotionally aware. It means understanding that kindness without boundaries becomes self-sacrifice, that empathy without self-respect becomes obedience, and that your peace is not something other people get to negotiate. So the next time someone tries to rush you, guilt you, or make you doubt yourself, take one slow breath, pause, think, then choose. Because puppets react, free people decide. And the moment you stop handing people the keys to your emotions is the moment you become impossible to manipulate.